It had been so long since Anna had heard the sound of her own heartbeat over the chaos of life. But tonight was different. The living room smelled faintly of lavender from the candle she had lit an hour earlier, and the soft hum of the fridge in the kitchen was the only noise breaking the silence. Outside, the evening sky glowed in deep shades of gold and purple, the kind of sky that made you want to believe something beautiful was about to happen. Anna stood in front of the hallway mirror, staring at her reflection like she was meeting herself for the first time in years. Her dress was simple, navy blue, knee-length, but it hugged her figure just right. Her hair had been curled into soft waves, falling gently over her shoulders, and her lipstick was a delicate shade of rose that made her smile look almost like it used to, back when she smiled without effort. She hadn't been on a date in 2 years. 2 years since she had been brave enough to let someone close. 2 years since the messy, painful divorce that left her guarding her heart like a fortress. But tonight wasn't about walls. Tonight was about hope, or at least the small, fragile kind of hope her best friend Sophie had pushed into her life. "You need this, Anna," Sophie had said over the phone last week. "He's a good guy, a widower, smart, funny, and safe." Anna had laughed at the last part. Safe. As if love ever came without risk. Still, something inside her wanted to believe Sophie. She had agreed to a blind date with this man, Daniel, and now here she was, counting the minutes until 7 p.m. Her daughter, Lily, had been picked up by her grandmother an hour ago. It was strange being in the house alone, with no cartoons blaring, no little footsteps running through the hallway. Strange, and a little lonely. The digital clock on the wall ticked closer to the hour. 6:58. Her palms felt damp. She grabbed a tissue from the coffee table and dabbed them dry, laughing quietly to herself. She wasn't 18 anymore. Why was she this nervous? 6:59. Her stomach did a little somersault. She took one last glance at herself in the mirror, adjusting a stray curl. 7 o'clock. The knock came, firm, polite, and exactly on time. Anna drew in a deep breath. Her heels clicked softly against the hardwood floor as she walked to the door. She reached for the handle, her hand trembling just slightly. This was it, the moment she had been both anticipating and dreading. She pulled the door open. Standing there was a man who looked nothing like the strangers she'd tried to date before. There was no cocky smile, no self-assured posture. Daniel's presence was quiet, grounded. He was tall, with warm brown eyes and hair that fell neatly to the side. His navy shirt was casual but clean, and his hands were shoved lightly into his pockets, like he wasn't sure how much of himself to show just yet. "Hi," he said, his voice soft but steady. "You must be Anna." She felt herself smile. "And you're Daniel." There was a brief pause, just enough for their eyes to meet, for her to notice the faint trace of exhaustion in his expression. Then, he leaned in slightly, his voice dropping to a whisper, almost as if it were a confession. "My kids are in the car." For a split second, Anna didn't move. The words hit her in a way she didn't expect, stirring up a swirl of questions. Kids? In the car? Why? Daniel must have seen the flicker of uncertainty in her face, because he immediately raised a hand in a gentle, apologetic gesture. I'm so sorry," he said quickly. "Their babysitter canceled at the last minute. I didn't want to stand you up. I figured maybe we could, I don't know, adjust the plan." His voice carried an edge of embarrassment, like he was worried she might close the door right there. Anna's instinct was to pause. This wasn't how blind dates were supposed to start. They were supposed to be about first impressions and quiet dinners, not unexpected parenting arrangements. But then, in the space of a breath, she thought about all the nights she'd canceled plans because of Lily. The way people's smiles would falter when she explained she couldn't come. The way she had wished, just once, someone would understand without making her feel like a burden. Her grip on the door softened. She studied him for a moment longer, really studied him, and saw something in his eyes that wasn't pity, or desperation, but honesty. "Bring them in," she said finally, her voice warm but steady. No child should have to wait in the car. Daniel's shoulders loosened with relief. "Thank you," he murmured. "I'll just go get them." As he walked back toward the car parked at the curb, Anna stood in the doorway, watching. She didn't know why, but her heart was beating differently now, not the nervous flutter from before, but a deeper, steadier rhythm. The kind you felt when something was about to matter. Daniel returned within a minute, holding the hands of two small figures. The boy looked around 8, dark-haired, with shy, watchful eyes that darted between Anna and the living room beyond. The little girl beside him was about 5, clutching a stuffed rabbit so worn it looked like it had been loved through storms and dreams alike. "This is Jacob," Daniel said softly, giving his son's shoulder a gentle squeeze. "And this is Emily." The children gave small, polite nods, but didn't speak. Their shoes squeaked faintly on the polished floor as they stepped inside. Anna knelt down to their height, offering them a gentle smile. "Hi, Jacob. Hi, Emily. I'm Anna." Emily's grip on her rabbit tightened, but Jacob gave a quiet, "Hi," in return. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, clearly aware of how unusual this was for a first meeting. "I'm sorry again," he said, his voice almost apologetic. "This isn't exactly the blind date I promised you." Anna stood, brushing off her knees. "Honestly, it's fine. Plans change, especially when you have kids." She smiled in a way that told him she meant it. They moved toward the living room, the children lingering close to Daniel. The atmosphere was still a little stiff, the quiet stretching between them. Anna was about to offer them something to drink when a small voice came from down the hall. "Mommy." Lily's bedroom door had cracked open. The 6-year-old peeked her head out, her hair a little messy from her earlier playtime at Grandma's. She spotted the strangers instantly, her eyes widening with curiosity. "Oh," Anna said, "I thought you were staying the night at Grandma's." "She brought me back," Lily explained matter-of-factly, stepping fully into the hallway. Then she looked at Emily and Jacob and grinned. "Hi, do you like Legos?" Emily's eyes brightened ever so slightly. She gave a quick nod, and in the next breath, Lily was leading her toward the pile of colorful bricks scattered on the rug in her room. Jacob hesitated a little longer, glancing up at Daniel for permission. When his father gave a small nod, he followed. Daniel let out a quiet chuckle, rubbing the back of his neck. "Well, that was easier than I thought." Anna laughed softly. "Kids know how to break the ice better than we do." With the children occupied, the two of them drifted into the kitchen. The fridge door opened with a soft creak as Anna pulled out a carton of juice and a bottle of water. "You were planning to take me to dinner, right?" she asked. Daniel smiled sheepishly. "Yeah, there's this little Italian place downtown. Best lasagna in the city. But, obviously, that's not happening tonight." Anna set 2 glasses on the counter. "We could improvise." It turned out her fridge held spaghetti noodles, a jar of sauce, some vegetables, and a small block of cheese. It wasn't 5-star dining, but the thought of cooking together felt oddly comfortable. Daniel rolled up his sleeves without hesitation. "Tell me what to do." She handed him a cutting board and a knife. "Chop these peppers and onions. I'll start the sauce." As they worked, the conversation began to flow naturally. Daniel told her about his late wife, how she had passed away 3 years ago after a sudden illness. His voice was calm but carried the weight of loss that never quite leaves. Anna listened quietly, not interrupting, just letting him speak. When he glanced up, she shared her own story, how her marriage had fallen apart, how Lily had been her anchor when everything else crumbled. There was no pity between them, only understanding. The smell of garlic and tomatoes began to fill the kitchen. Every so often, laughter from the children's room would drift in, light and unfiltered. When the spaghetti was ready, they gathered everyone around the small dining table. Jacob sat beside Daniel, Emily next to Lily, who was already chatting about her Lego castle. It wasn't a romantic restaurant with candlelight and soft music. Instead, it was paper plates, mismatched forks, and 2 single parents watching their children share breadsticks like they'd known each other for years. At one point, Emily reached across the table and offered Anna a piece of garlic bread. It was such a small gesture, but it made Anna's heart warm. Children didn't give away food to people they didn't trust. By the time dinner was done, the awkwardness from earlier had melted away. The kids disappeared back to the Legos, and Anna and Daniel sat with mugs of tea, talking like old friends who had just found each other again. Daniel glanced toward the living room where the kids were building something together and said quietly, "I didn't expect tonight to turn out like this, but I'm glad it did." Anna felt the same. Somewhere between the chopping board and the garlic bread, the evening had stopped feeling like a ruined plan, and started feeling like something rare. The night had grown quiet. The movie was over, but no one wanted to move. Jacob slept against Daniel's arm, Emily's head rested on Anna's lap, and Lily leaned happily between them. It wasn't the night they'd planned, but it was the night they needed. At the door, Daniel carried his daughter and guided Jacob outside. "Thank you," he said softly, his voice sincere. You turned what could have been a disaster into something special. Anna smiled, her heart unexpectedly full. You're welcome. I'm glad you came. Emily murmured a sleepy, bye, and Lily waved from the doorway until the car disappeared into the night. Inside, the house was quiet again, but it didn't feel empty anymore. Anna realized love doesn't always arrive with flowers or candlelight, it arrives in unexpected moments, with mismatched forks, children's laughter, and the courage to open the door. The movie had been playing for nearly an hour, though no one was really paying attention to the plot anymore. Jacob had fallen asleep against Daniel's side, his small chest rising and falling in a steady rhythm. Emily was curled up on the couch with her stuffed rabbit tucked under her chin, her legs resting across Anna's lap. Lily sat between them all, her head leaning gently on Anna's shoulder, a content smile on her face. The room was dim, lit only by the soft glow from the TV and the flicker of the lavender candle Anna had lit earlier. Outside, the night was quiet, no traffic, no noise, just the sound of the occasional breeze rustling the leaves. Anna glanced at Daniel. He was watching his children, a faint smile tugging at his lips, his eyes carrying that faraway look people get when they're holding on to a moment they don't want to end. When the credits rolled, they moved slowly, careful not to wake the kids as they stood. Daniel gently gathered Emily into his arms while Jacob stirred and rubbed his eyes. At the door, Daniel paused, his voice low so as not to disturb the children. I can't thank you enough for tonight, he said. Most people would have closed the door as soon as they heard what I said. But you didn't. Anna met his gaze, her own voice quiet but certain. That's because I've been there. I know what it's like when life throws you something unexpected, and how much it means when someone understands. For a moment, neither of them moved. The unspoken truth hung in the air, this wasn't just a blind date anymore. It was the start of something that felt different, something grounded in more than just attraction. Daniel smiled faintly. Tonight didn't go as planned, but maybe it went the way it was supposed to. Anna returned the smile. Maybe it did. They stepped out onto the porch, where the cool night air wrapped around them. Daniel opened the car door and settled the children inside. Emily murmured a sleepy, bye, from under her blanket, and Lily, standing beside Anna, waved enthusiastically. As the car pulled away, Anna stood there with her daughter, both of them waving until the taillights disappeared around the corner. Lily glanced up. Mommy, do you think they'll come back? Anna smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her daughter's face. I hope so, sweetheart. I really hope so. Inside, the house was quiet again, but it didn't feel lonely this time. It felt full of the sound of laughter still echoing in her mind, full of the warmth of shared spaghetti and mismatched forks, full of the realization that love doesn't always knock when you're ready, it knocks when you're needed. And sometimes, all it takes to change your life is opening the door. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Silent Stories and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your support and feedback truly inspire us to keep bringing you more heart-touching and emotional stories that stay with you long after they end. Stay connected, there's so much more to share.